Good afternoon, Judge Bill Burley. Thank you very much for having us at your home. It's a beautiful home for this interview. On behalf of myself and the board of directors, we want to really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to interview you and to put your knowledge of this event on film. And I'm really happy to be here.
Well, thank you, Hugo. I'm looking forward to this event. I think it should be fun.
So, Bill, I think that most people who are even remotely associated with running know that you were the founder of the Big Sur Marathon, that you made it happen, that you not only created, but you put all the energy that resulted in the Big Sur Marathon taking place. What a lot of people do not know, Bill, is that this was not your first race. That before that, you started, created, funded the River Run. And I want to know, Bill, was there some energy that came out of that sort of led you to the Big Sur Marathon? In other words, what was your motivation for the marathon?
Well, the River Run was, as you know, or probably know, I'm sure you know, was a great success. Mm-hmm. And we got it thanks mostly to a local restaurant, but we got a lot of money out of it.
Right.
And we benefited the health center and the fire department. And they were surprised, we were surprised, at a big turnout, 1,000 people for
right.
a little neighborhood 10K. So we were delighted, and we're going to go on with this. And we did, and as you know, it's still a successful 10K.
Right.
And but after 3 or 4 years of a successful 10K, I'm driving down the road, and there's a sign saying "Big Sur, 6 miles." That's part of the motivation. But another part of the motivation was that if we got that much money and pleasure and excitement and motivation from a 10K, think what we could do with a marathon. So I called 15 friends of mine, said, "Do you want to have a marathon?" And they were unanimous. Yes, we go ahead.
Wonderful. Now, since I know that was the first time ever that the state of California allowed Highway 1 to be closed, and it hasn't happened since, tell me a little bit about the permitting. How the heck did you get a permit to do something that almost everybody, I'm sure, told you was no deal?
Everybody said I couldn't get a permit because no road's never been closed before.
Right.
And what's the name of the company?
Caltrans.
Caltrans. Mm-hmm. Caltrans has never given a permit to anybody.
No.
And so I had this packet of about an inch of reservation. We had every single person on the peninsula supported, every agency, everybody. It was a big packet of positive stuff.
So you did your homework.
Right. As you mentioned, I went to Caltrans, and they didn't laugh at me. They weren't that rude, but they did make it very clear. They said, "We get these requests all the time. We've never granted one, and we're not going to do one now." And so I kind of stuck my tail in between my legs and left. I couldn't give up then. I put too much in it.
And you didn't give up.
And there was one particular guy, I recall that he said one time that he went duck shooting with the governor the weekend before. And I said, "Woo!"
Yes.
There's a target. I got this packet, gave it to him. He said he wouldn't do anything until he was convinced, which is a reasonable thing to say. And he went through the packet in a few days, and he says, "I'm going to call the governor," and he did. And one day after he called the governor, Caltrans called me and said, "You got a permit for a year."
Wow.
But only a year.
Right.
That's if you make any mistakes at all, this is all over. And we don't want to give you one because you're starting a precedent.
So you got your permit
politically.
Right.
I didn't do it the normal way.
Right.
But we got the permit, and we were ready to go.
Right. Good afternoon, Allison. What a pleasure for me to have you here. I know Blake has been working really hard to conduct scheduled all the interviews, and I just can't tell you, it's wonderful that you're here. Thank you for taking the time out to be with us.
You know, Hugo, I'm very happy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, Big Sur has been named the top marathon in California for many years in a row. It's one of the top 5 marathons in the world. Were you surprised by how famous,
No.
how you were not?
No,
Why do you think that
because of Bill.
because of
It's
Bill?
really simple. Because of Bill's creativity and determination. He now someone bet him early on that he wouldn't get a permit. They bet
Yeah,
a lunch.
They lost.
Guess who won?
Bill did.
And guess who didn't pay his Those are the little
I have to tell you, I'm delighted that you're giving Bill so much credit, because I want you to know that from the very beginning, Bill told me that he would agree to the interview, but he said you have to interview Allison, because
wow.
she really played a
yeah.
pivotal point.
I didn't realize it at the time, but you're managing a family, a husband, and something that's huge. It's not like a 5K or 10K.
No.
But he knew exactly what he wanted. And I don't know if anyone knows that he traveled, I can't tell you how many marathons he went to see how they were run, see
Right.
the best part of it.
Right.
And it paid off,
Right.
because we do have the best marathon and have since the beginning.
Right. Right.
Okay, Hugo, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
You have a wealth of knowledge, so we are excited to hear about it. I know that you were from the area and you heard about the Big Sur Marathon. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I was. It was '86 in March. I was running. Annually I would run the Catalina Marathon, and I was running with a friend of mine, Tom Bird, who had been at Fort Ord, and he said to me, "Let's go up to Big Sur next month and do the Big Sur Marathon they're having on the Niagara Marathon." I thought it would be kind of fun, because I was a soldier around there, and it's a beautiful course, and you're gonna love it, nice and flat. I should not have believed that, of course, but I said no, I don't want to do that. It's less than a month away, but he convinced me to do it, and I'm glad I did. And in '86 I came up, and then came up in '87, and then Karen and I decided that we wanted to come and live in Carmel, so that's how that decision was made.
Nice. What can you tell us about the running of the first marathon?
How absolutely impressed I was with the course. Like I've said before, I by this time I had been running for about 15 years marathoning, and I had fallen in love with the sport. I had seen a couple of Olympic marathons, and I was impressed with what Frank Schroeder had done, and so I had started running, but I had never been in an environment like Big Sur before. And when I got up to about a mile and 11 and a half and looked back, because there was a sign that said, "Look back to where you've been," it was just pretty extraordinary. The terrain, the beauty, the course, the rocks, the water. It was just something that I thought, well, I think I can do this in a couple of more years. So that's what I decided to do.
Nice. And how many marathons did you end up doing?
Altogether, 124,
And how many Big Surs?
33.
33. So you're a grizzled vet.
There's a caveat to the 124. I could say 128 because 4 of them I ran as part of an Ironman. So I can take credit for 128.
Nice. Were there any particular memories that stand out when you were running any of the Big Sur marathons?
One year we had a little bit of snow, a little bit of ice, a little bit of cold wind, and that was kind of nippy and exciting. But one of the most charming memories that I have was when I became chair in '97. I did not want to give up my status as a grizzled vet, so Wally Kastner and I came up with the idea of the director's run, which we would do the Saturday before. And so I thought when we first launched it, it was pretty organized. It was pretty, we had a starter, we had people who did the rolling aid station. So we was pretty, but over the years, it kind of like, it was mostly on your own. And I remember I started running it no later than 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning because I went at the road by myself. So I'm coming up Hurricane Point, and I had put one of those little red flashers on my water bottle, which I was carrying in the back. And I'm halfway up Hurricane Point, and a car pulls up behind me and says, "We were wondering what that red light was." And I said, "Oh, it's me." He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm running to Big Sur." He said, "Oh, heck no, get in here. You don't want to run over to Big Sur. Well, we have room in the car. Come on." I said, No, I cannot take a ride. It's part of, I'm running a marathon." He goes, "You're crazy. Get in the car, it's nice and warm." So that was always struck me as really just a funny incident in the marathon. But running with some people that I knew here and there, it was magical in a lot of ways. Tom Rolander, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to thank you very much for taking the time out to be with us, and it's something that I wanted to do for a long time, and thanks to the work of Blake Russell, I get to have a conversation with you today, which I've been looking forward to a long time.
Me as well.
Thomas, I was reflecting the other day what our paths of life, what they culminated on that April 27, 1986. You
Yes.
and I were there, part of the 1,800 people to start the marathon. Now, by that time, in 86, I had been running for marathons for about 15 years. I had run New York a couple of times, qualified for Boston. I had done Boston. So I kind of knew my way around the marathon.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, were a complete novice. Would you characterize it that way?
That I was clueless.
Clueless.
Clueless is the best way of describing it. Actually, it goes back a little bit before April, and that was January 1st. What had happened is I realized I was getting close to 40, and I was over 200 pounds. I'm an engineer. I looked at all the numbers and figured the most efficient form of exercise was to run. So I started running January 1st of 86.
Okay.
And by the time we got into April, I had a long run of 12 miles. Well, we get to the weekend of the Big Sur Marathon. I had no idea there was a marathon coming up. It was a Friday evening. I had been voluntold by my wife to be, this was for the Heritage Society, Quilt Show Preview Party. I was pouring wine. So I'm sitting there happily pouring wine, and up comes Pat Haar, Ed Brettauer, Bill Parsons, Ron Cobley. They're all chatting about the marathon they're going to run Sunday. And I went, wow, marathon, that's pretty impressive. And well, it turned out Bill Parsons' brother was there, and he was also going to run from LA. Well, somebody asked me, well, Tom, are you running Sunday? And I said, are you kidding? 26 miles? Turned out Bill Parsons had a long run brother of 10 miles. So at that point it was, hey, I'm a wimp. 12 miles? I ought to be able to run a marathon. So anyway, that was kind of the setting for it. Registration was going to open until 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon. I got there at 4:45, hoping they'd be out of bibs. Well, I told them a little bit of my story, long run 12 miles, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow, and they gave me a seeded bib number, which they thought was pretty funny. So, at any rate, I was going to then run on Sunday. Well, that Saturday evening, I talked to Ed Brettauer. He was the one that talked me into running it. And he said, Tom, anybody that can run 12 miles can run a marathon. Here's how you do it. What you do is you run 2 miles to every aid station. And at the aid station, you get a cup of Gatorade, a cup of water, and you walk for 2 minutes. Not 1 minute, not 3 minutes, 2 minutes. And then you run another 2 miles. Anybody can finish a marathon. Wow. That is what I did.
Wonderful. Now, I also was reflecting on the fact that we came from different places, but we kind of left in a similar track. We both fell in love with the course.
Absolutely.
We both became gristle beds. I think you ran it 34 times in a row.
That's correct.
I ran it 33 times in a row. But how it merged our lives in the same path. Yeah. Because I became involved with the board, you became chairman of the board, I became chairman. So anyway, tell me, beyond the marathon experience, what was it that kept you coming back, year in, year out?
Well, I think as far as the running experience, it was to be on Highway 1, for the beauty that we have in this area, to be able to see that without cars. Yeah. I mean, that's more than anything. And that very first marathon, was absolutely the biggest high of my life to that point in time, personal, to be able to be out there and realize you could accomplish that in the beauty that we have in Big Sur. That is a big part of what brought me back again and again. And we're constantly reminded that we live on this coast. Those of us that travel down to Big Sur see that, and we see it frequently with Winnebagos, big vehicles, motorcycles, all sorts of things like that. But one day a year, we have a morning where that highway is ours.
Right, and you mentioned that. I remember you telling me a long, long time ago that no matter what life offered you, you knew where you were going to be the last Sunday of every year.
That day,
in April.
absolutely. And literally, for each event, I would anticipate it. I would count down. I would know how many days, how many weeks, and whatever we had before the marathon. And the marathon would be over, and I'd already be planning. I'd have on the calendar. That was the anchor of my year.